Oh no, now the knee. Well, that was it. Manu, what's he done there? He's sold the dummy with a knee injury. It's a fake knee injury. That is set up a try from Momirovski.
It's the next tackle. He gets an offload. He goes back against the football. Probably feels a cramp coming on in the back of his calf. And then just takes off.
Oh, what a beauty. So, you pick which has been the better moment. The bloke kicking the ball back from the traffic at the southern end, or Manu, the cramp, the fibber, and takes off to set up a try.
Welcome back, ladies and gents, to another episode of the Supercoach Tragics podcast. I'm your host, Dan. Glenn sends his apologies. He couldn't make it with us tonight, but instead we have an off-the-bench invasion. We have Roscoe, mate. Welcome back, mate. Always good to have you on.
Yeah, thanks, Dan. It's good to be on again. Always love to come on and chat football. Whether it's been a good week or a bad week, it's still good to talk footy.
That's it, mate. Doesn't really matter. I think you just talk footy with your mates at home all day, every day anyway. You might as well do it and get it recorded as well. It's a bit of fun. How was your week last week, mate? Not a bad week for you?
It was okay. 1,087. Finally cracked 1,000. Yay. The first one for the season. Captain Turbo, so not a bad score considering that, but I had Hammer, I had Ponga, I had Hines, a few other sub scores there, mate. Talk about unlucky. I drew one of my head-to-heads and I lost one by 1 point.
Oh, wow.
But I moved up 24,000 spots to 48,000, so I'm going in the right direction.
Yeah, well, it wouldn't be hard to go any lower, no offense, mate.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, I can't take too much, mate. I'm not much better. I was sitting around the 37,000 mark last week, but I had a similar round to you. Except my team did poorly, but my captain did well. So I had Hammer as my captain, and I made the silly decision to trade Ponga to Turbo last minute, thinking he'd go ape shit. And that bit me in the ass a little bit. But in saying that, it's not the worst thing. I think in the long run, it's not going to hurt me too much. But having that captain on a Hammer really helps. I got a 1089, went from 37,000 down to 18,000. So I'm sitting in a better position now. I feel like I bring it home.
Well, you would have been pretty happy, like a lot of us, at Captain Turbo when you did that pass. When he did that flick pass, I'm like, oh, okay, he's on. He's in for a big one. And then that was it. It just went to shit from there, error after error.
I literally just got home from Easter celebrations with the family, and I just went to my shed, put the TV on, and they were just showing the replay. And I'm like, oh, how good is this? What good timing! And I should have just turned it off, mate, after the rest of the game. But that was actually, it was funny because they were saying that his record for the most errors in one game was 5, and he equaled that record on the weekend. Yeah. So I don't see it happening very often again. I think you'll see. I know he's playing against the Panthers, but I can see a comeback coming next week. And I think with the Panthers especially, Teddy got 69, did a pretty good job against him. But I don't think that the halves for the Roosters are as good as DCE, and I think that DCE will have a better time kind of exploiting the weaknesses the Panthers do have now with Cleary out. So I think DCE will actually exploit that a lot better as a half, and probably have a good chance of beating Penrith this week. And that's probably me just trying to jinx Manly so I don't beat Penrith, but I think it could happen with DCE on there. But you know what it's like, DCE, he's got a point to prove, and he's a bloody good halfback, so I can't really say anything about him.
Yeah, that's probably the worst game I've seen Turbo play.
Oh,
honestly, I don't think I've seen him play a worse game than that.
And you got to look as well, if he catches a lot of those or doesn't drop a lot of those balls, they were like so close to big point plays. One of them was that offload on the inside that he couldn't get out, and that would have been a line break assist, potentially a try assist as well. Another one there, I think it was he was about to break through the line and actually do his own line break and then drop the ball again. So yeah. I think there was so many. He could have been he got 55 points, which, to be honest, 55 points with that many errors, that's bloody pretty good.
He's still averaging around 78 mark, and he hasn't got going yet. So look out when he does get going.
Yeah, that's right. Alrighty, let's move to footy talk. We'll start off with our current overall leader for the Tragics group. Current leader right now, the Dead Hand Gang, Quentin there. Good job, mate. Currently ranked 270th overall. Really good work there. Currently in the running for that Supercoach Champions ring at the end of the year. So good luck there. But be careful, mate. Uncle Andrew right behind you there. Currently ranked 862 overall, so not too far behind. Long season to go, but good luck to guys. All right, let's crack into the footy. So first game of the week, let's bring it up on the big screen. So we have the Storm taking on the Broncos. So start with the Storm, backs here. So we've got Pappenhausen, Warbrick, Smith, Meaney, and Coates in the wing, and the big inclusions of Munster and Hughes back again. Good to see how these guys go, especially Munster after not playing all year.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how he goes because I think a lot of us have got Dylan Brown in 5'8" at the moment. He's not exactly setting the world on fire at the moment, but he just keeps getting so close to like even the game against the Tigers on the weekend, he was so close to 2 or 3 line breaks it could have turned into anything. But yeah, I'm interested to see, and I think as an owner for Harry Grant, I think he'll definitely start scoring better now with these guys back as well.
Yeah, no, I definitely hope so. I think a lot of people will say that Harry Grant scores a bit more without those guys because he gets more of the ball himself, but that doesn't seem to be the case.
No.
It doesn't seem to be the case this year at all. I think the halves set that little foundation in the field there, and Grant can really support them and actually get some opportunities himself. So looking forward to seeing how Grant goes because I haven't got Munster at the moment. But that's the thing with you mentioned before, Edwards. I know we're talking about the Storm here, but you mentioned with not Edwards, sorry, Dylan Brown, that the reason why he's still in my team is because even though he doesn't get all his attacking stats, his base is just too good. So he doesn't hurt you too much. But if Munster comes out firing, I'll have to check out his draw and see how he's going. But I think it might be a sneaky little swap.
Yeah, I think there's a couple other ones in here too that we should mention. Obviously, still no Joe Chan, not even on the extended bench here either. Not sure what's going on there. But the other one that I'm keeping an eye on still is Elise Katoa as well. Just keeps churning along.
Yeah, he does, and especially with having Blore on the other side, not doing too much. With Chan, they can kind of go to him a bit more and rely on him, but I think Blore is a bit he's full of errors, and I think they're going to go to Lisa Katoa's side a bit more often. And yeah, like you said, he can run a great line, and he can get some decent points there. So someone I'll be looking out for as well. My second row is batshit at the moment; he's terrible. So I need to start looking at upgrading, and I think he's definitely a potential target there.
I don't have any gun second row forwards at the moment, and we all jumped on these middies at the start of the season thinking they were all going to go well and make cash, and none of them have. Not one of them have. I like Firma, Tupanua, Curran's been okay. Sil Wong, Jaden Salmon, they've all been rubbish. They've made no money and they're just not getting the points.
Yeah, no, it's been pretty sad, really. But I had a little game plan this week with my trades, but I was hoping that they'd do a sneaky little bring in Fafita like onto the field, but I think because you saw Fafita score last week. You got a 55 from the bench.
That's 55 it was like 55 in 55 minutes or something.
Yeah. So if he starts getting a bit more game time, when he starts fitting his eye, it'll be good because he drops a bit of value, but I want to start saving up and banking some cash to get him in. I need to fix that second rope pretty bad. My centre wing's looking really good, so I feel like that might be my avenue to get to. I'm
the same as you, Dan. I stacked up the centre wing last week, brought in 3 guns, so that was my target first because obviously that's where a majority of the points are coming from, and I'll be starting to work on the second row next.
Yeah,
sure.
Definitely. All right, let's look at the Broncos. We start off with the backs here. Tristan Sailor did a pretty damn good job filling in for Reece Walsh in that game, so. It's good for the Brisbane. They can relax and not have to rush him back. Although he's running around with that cyborg headgear thing on at the moment, it's full contact training. So we never know what's going to happen. He could be in next week, but I think they'll play it safe with Tristan Sailor doing a good enough job at the back.
Yeah, I think he's doing a good job there. They obviously miss Walsh and they obviously miss Haas as well. But Carrigan's doing a job there as well. Fletcher Baker's been good up front as well. Corey Jensen's been good as well, but obviously no Xavier Willison either because supposedly he got a minor injury at training, hence why he's not named.
Good to know, actually. It's good to know because there was a lot of people thinking that he got dropped because he played pretty well, I thought.
Yeah. But that not that he's going to be relevant, but that Tiakura, he's an absolute beast of a bloke. He's a massive unit. I'm interested. I can't wait to see how it goes.
Yeah, he's been on my black book for a while, mate. He's been on the edge and the fringe for a while now, and there was talk of him coming into the team this year. And it'd be good to see him have a crack. So, but then you got to look at the bench there. You've got Martin Tapau also on the extended bench as well. That you never know, they could do a last minute swap. Hopefully for Takura's benefit that he gets to have a run because it'd be good to have a crack in the NRL. And one thing I will say on the down low, we mentioned that last week a little bit, but seeing that Haas is out, Carrigan has stepped up a notch in Supercoach output, averaging about 70 odd points a week, quite comfortably. He can normally do around the 60, 65 points a week, but he goes up a little bit more when Haas is gone because he needs to fill those big shoes.
And also playing extra minutes as well, like 10, 15 minutes extra he's playing as well. So I don't know if I'd be trading him in now with Haas due back in 2 weeks, but he's definitely ultra consistent for sure.
Yeah, definitely. I think he takes it all on himself too. When there is a player out, he feels like he needs to take on himself, and that's what he does. He's a really good leader for that team, and I think he gets All righty, mate. Game 2. Let's have a look. We've got Bulldogs versus the Roosters. So, mate, I think the Roosters are going to just run over these guys pretty rampant. I think the Bulldogs are showing a bit more. They're better than last year, but they've got a lot to bring back to start competing with these bigger teams.
Yeah, I think the Roosters should be too good here. They'll be looking for a bounce back. They were pretty disappointing against the Panthers last week. That was always going to be a tough game. Panthers always defend well. There's obviously one I think we need to keep an eye on if he keeps that Sports Angus too. He's only at 400k, so for those who like us, most of us have got Smithies. That could be a straight swap in 2 weeks' time as well. I got Dom Young in last week. Kind of disappointed with his 30, but I'll take it. He's still going to make me cash, and I think he'll score well this game. I'm expecting, a couple of tries out of him for this one.
100%.
Yeah, so Tyrrell May back to the bench. Don't think it matters. He'll still get decent minutes. I'm not worried too much about that. He's going to be a keeper till the end anyway by the looks.
Yeah, even from the bench, he gets about 50 odd minutes, and he's smashing out more than a point a minute in base alone, or base attack alone. So I think I'd be happy to run with him all year as my third front rower, quite comfortably. I think he's very, very safe, depending on injury. Hopefully not. Curran jumps to the starting lineup on the edge there to replace Preston. So how long do you know how long Preston's out for with that broken jaw?
Well, he's supposed to be, I think it's like 6 weeks or something, 4 to 6 weeks.
Yeah.
So, and obviously the talk is Curran's also going to supposedly going to get the dual position next week too, which will be handy for those who have him. I don't know if he's going to play 80. I'm not sure what your take is on it, but just looking at that bench, I'm pretty sure Harrison Edwards will play sometime on the edge. Liam Knight will obviously play some front row, and Kurt Mann will obviously play some lock. Not sure about the other guy that's on the bench where he plays, but he could play 80, but I'm not sure. I still rate Curran as a bit of a buy. I haven't got him, and I'm not getting him just because I'm going to prioritise KPP instead. But there's obviously a couple other ones there too. Max King's been pretty good the last couple of games. Not putting out massive scores, but good bases. I think he had a base of 65 last week, and the week before a base of 50. So he's definitely one to keep an eye on as well if you're looking for a front rower. But there's another one that I think coming up in a later game that I think is a better option than him again.
Yeah. I think Kingy, I was potentially going to start with him as a Haas replacement to free up cash elsewhere. He started off pretty weak. He was getting 30s, so pretty weak. But the last few games are really showing what he can do and what he has done the last few years. So,
the other one we have to mention too, Dan, is the fallen. He's come from the dead. Sam Hughes starting at front row.
Mate, honestly, I don't like this.
I don't know what to expect. I don't know what to expect from this. I don't know if it's going to be like comes on, starts, plays 20 minutes, and that's it. I just don't know what to expect from this.
Yeah, well, you saw what they did with Pawasa Famasuli when he started. He's on the centre bench now at the moment. But you saw how many minutes he got at the start of the game, and that was literally it. And he started, so that's why I'm a bit concerned. I'm not selling Hughes because I figured that if he does lose cash, he doesn't lose much because he's capped out at at 204k. So he's not an issue for me to get rid of. So it's a good little on the bench to sit back and watch him go. But honestly, I'm hoping that all those rumors about Gussie, what Gus was saying about him are true and he can start getting those big minutes. I reckon if he could get the big minutes, that's a really solid front row with King and Hughes. That's a long-term front row for those guys, and I think that could be potentially a good little foundation to work on from the front.
I'm not sure what Liam Knight was doing starting. I don't know what they He's just a plotter, that bloke. Honestly, he really is.
Oh, he held the ball the last few games. He didn't drop it as much as he did in the trials. That was bad.
Is that because it got stuck to his hair? His new hairdo that he's got or something? Yeah, I've got to make a decision because I've my front row forwards, mate. Other than May, I've only got 3 cheapies, which is Henry, Palasa, and also Sam Hughes. So I've got to play either Hughes or Henry this week. At the moment, I'm playing Hughes, but I'm not confident. But at the same time, Henry's been great the last couple of weeks, plugging me for a couple of 50s while Fisher Harris is back, but I don't expect the same minutes now that he's back.
That's the problem, yeah. So I was about to say, normally from like just face value, you'd think from what he's been putting out the last few weeks, you'd go Henry for sure. But you're 100% right where Fisher Harris is now back. Does Lindsay Smith gets a bit less minutes as well, so I think that they're going to share more minutes there. So I think you're right, but I still think he gets a solid 30-40, but I think that might be a challenge for Hughes to get. Thankfully, so I'm not sure what happens there. Well, let's look at the Roosters. We got Teddy. I think he's here for a bounce back. Everyone's upset about Teddy. They jumped on him last week, and he got 69 points against the bloody Panthers.
I didn't
get him in, mate. And I'm like, what are you whinging about? Like,
I'd be happy with that, mate. Honestly, yeah. I think he's definitely a VC option for this game too, for sure.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. If I had Teddy in my team, he'd be my no questions asked VC straight away. Yeah. So not really anything else of point. Dom Young there, who could do pretty good things against the Bulldogs in this game. So, but yeah, I think if you got him, he'd be my danger man this week. Dom Young. A lot of people would probably be upset about last week and try and jump off him. But he is a serious threat. I'll be death riding the crap out of him.
Thanks, Dan. That's great.
I might do a last-minute trade like I did with Turbo last week and ruin him for everyone.
Oh, you're going to break him. Yeah, okay.
Love it. And as you mentioned earlier, the second row, we've got Angus Crichton on the in the number 12 shot there. So we all know what he can do. I've been looking at the consistency in the rotations for the forwards. And it seems as though they run him 60 minutes straight and they replace that edge. So I see Tupanua coming on for the last 20. So, which still, to me, Angus can do some good things in that 60 minutes and get a price rise.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I'm not thinking it's going to break any rules or break any records anywhere.
I think if you've got Tupanua, he's definitely a sell this week too. I'm selling him this week. And I think, if you don't have KPP, it's pretty much a straight swap to him. So that's my plan.
Yeah, no, I'll be, as soon as I saw the orange dot, mate, I was like, and I heard all the rumours obviously beforehand, I was like, yeah, we've got to definitely get rid of Tupanua. He was one of my first traded out. And I have Piakura still on my team. I traded him out before. I traded them both out, but in the end, I traded out, Tupanua first. All right, mate, we've got game 3. We've got Knights up against the Dragons, mate. This
could be anything.
This could be like 50 to 54. Like,
or it could be 50 to 4.
That's right. Yeah. Either way, either team. It depends what people turn up. But Ponga in this game, I'm regretting that whole sell at that trade last week to get Turbo in. But in saying that, he's definitely a person to be scared of this week, especially playing at home as well. I think Ponga does a pretty good job. Another early game, so another potential VC option here.
Definitely. Yeah, the other. I think the other one that we need to keep an eye on too, because obviously Lussick's not really doing his job now like we hoped. Is Jaden Brayley starting at hooker this week at 330k. Interested to keep an eye on him to see what sort of minutes he gets with Crossland on the bench, because I think Lussick's going to be a sell soon, and I don't really want to be forking out 250k to go from Lussick up to like an Appy or JMK or something like that. So I think he's definitely one to keep an eye on for sure. And obviously KPP we've already spoken about. I think there's a big game coming for him. I don't know when it's coming, but it's coming. Just that Sonny Bill build about him. Yeah, he looks the goods. I think we all sort of a bit worried at some stage with him not playing 80 minutes, but it's obviously he's got that locked in now. You know, got no Dylan Lucas on the bench, and he'll play 80. He'll play 80 for sure. Definitely especially looking at that bench, because you're going to have Croker and Safidi probably play front row. Hetherington similar, and Crossland will play hooker. So it's a bloody.
Yeah, you got to look at. Hetherington has played edge in the past, but it has not been successful. So I feel very safe getting in and playing in your 17 as well, KPP. He's, spoiler alert, one of my trade-ins this week. So one thing I noticed about KPP, I know it's a bit different size, different kind of size comparison as well. It's more of the style. He reminded me of when Alicia Katoa was at the Warriors, where he had to try and get that timing right first. And once you got that timing right from going from rugby into NRL, he is pretty damn threatening at the line there, and even down a bit further into the halfway line. So I think KPP has actually gone a bit faster and developed a bit faster than what Alessi Katoa did when he was at the Warriors. But in saying that, also Alessi Katoa didn't really get that good until he went to the Storm.
Yeah.
So. Yeah. All right, let's look at the Dragons. We've got Sloan, Lomax, Sully, Jack Bird, Ravalawa, Kyle Flanagan, and Ben Hunt. No changes there. We've got on the front row, we've got Molo, DeBellin starting, which is great for DeBellin. He's been quietly plodding along quite nicely. Little hooker, Luciano. He was just trying everything, wasn't he? He was trying to throw every ball he could possibly throw, offload like crazy. He was putting effort in. Not at all paid off, but he did actually do. I thought he was having a crack.
Yeah. The other one that well done to those who started him, but Tom Ison, who's doing a good job there as well. Obviously, he's been moving around from the edge to lock. You couldn't jump on him now, but dual position. He's made about 100 and something K so far. If you got on him at the start, then he's been handy. Second row centre wing dual. So if you got on him, well, that's great. But other than that, there's not really much else there that I like. I mean, Lomax, this whole talk now, is he going to, now that he's playing for a contract at another club, is he going to play better, or are they going to, are they going to do the dirty on him and move him around and take the goal kicking off him? I just don't know what they're going to do there. I don't know what I'd be thinking as an owner at this stage if I had him.
Yeah, that's it. Well, I know there's not much to talk about too much in this team. However, my VC is coming from this team.
Ben Hunt?
Ben Hunt is my little pod. He's quietly averaging 63 points a game. I just wanted to have that one. I wanted to have two guns, but I wanted to have a budget version. A lot of people were going Sam Walker, and I thought I'm going to go a bit different just because of the draw. And I went Ben Hunt. And he's been averaging 63. He had that one bad game where he got like 30. Yeah. Every other game is being above 60, so very happy with that. So I'll be throwing the BC on him actually, playing out there. I think this could be a good one. So
I'm on that.
Yeah. And we all know Ben Hunt, when he wants to, he's kind of like Jerome Hughes, where he can get that really, really big score when he wants to. I remember I saw him one time, he got like a 180 or something somewhere, and I was like, in my drafts, didn't have him in Classic, but yeah.
Yep.
All right, let's move on to the next game. Who we got? We got the Warriors up against the Rabbitohs. So, a lot of, as always, there's always something in the news about Latrell. What's that? I heard something about him retiring apparently because of all the booze.
What did you? I was at the Roosters South game the other week, and every time he touched the ball, they were booing him. Crying me a river, seriously. Move on.
Honestly, I hate that shit.
I do too.
I hate it. I think it's terrible because you look at all the shit that he does. He's an outspoken guy, and he says a lot of things, and he says what's on his mind. He says it out. Whenever you have that person, doesn't matter what kind of person you are. You could be a good person, a bad person. If you're that outspoken, you're gonna have and that opinionated. You're gonna have everyone else has their own opinions, and they're already going to disagree with you. There's things like you don't see with Latrell that he ended up. It was an old mate of his or something that his dad was a big South fan, so he went and got an old jersey. This is unreported stuff. You don't see it very often. Yeah. Went and got a jersey signed by the whole Rabbitohs team and gave it to his dad. It's this stuff here. Like, he's genuinely probably one of the nicer guys out there, but because as soon as he hits the cameras, he starts talking, and everyone has a thing against him. I hate that crap. I think, I don't trust the media portrayal of certain people. And I think Latrell is just getting. You know what? He asked for when you're as cocky and as talented as he is, you're gonna cop
Yeah.
crap, and you got to
Yeah.
deal with it, unfortunately. But I think he's probably one of the most. He has so much for his community, and I think it's just. I honestly, if someone starts booing someone that's actually genuinely a nice guy, they can go eat a dick. Really, I don't care.
Yeah, I've always found him to be a nice guy. My kids are South supporters, and we've been to a couple of the South days that they've had. And you know, we rocked up there one day, and he just finished having breakfast, and he was happy to take some photos and sign autographs for the kids. Yeah, so you know, like there's players like that. Hargraves is the same. Everyone thinks he's a bit of a thug, but he's not really nice guy too. So yeah. Look,
I think it's kind of funny though. There's similar people out there. Like there's like the Jerome Luais everyone hates. But off the field, he's a very happy young father with a family. Same as I reckon this is the funny part, and I hate to say this, but Reece Walsh and Luai are pretty much the same person.
Yeah.
They're both young fathers that are just cocky little buggers in the field, but they're genuine nice people off the field. But you have to have a persona on the field. Like another one is Tyson Gamble. I don't even know if he's a good guy off the field. I don't know anything about that. But his job is to piss off the other team and get under their skin. And it works a lot of the time. It hasn't been working now because he's been dropped.
Hey, Dan, can you give me 2 seconds? I'll be back. Can you just keep going, okay? I won't be long. All right.
Alrighty, let's have a look. So we've got for the back line, we've got Thompson coming in for AJ. AJ's got out for a bit of a stint there. A lot of people were really, really hoping on Jacob Gagai getting a run, but unfortunately, he's down the pecking order quite a bit. I think there needs to be quite a few injuries for Gagai to get a run. Another player, even ahead of Milne in there at the moment, who I think is being pretty average. I probably just could be my super coach bias showing up, but they need to put Gagai in the team. Cookie, another good option there, playing some decent footy, getting some decent points there. I think he was someone I was kind of eyeballing as potential upgrade for Lustig, but I decided to wait another week on Lustig now that Hand's not being named, which we'll get to later. Host on the bench, on the edge there as well with Keenan Kuala-Matangi, another person that I'm eyeballing off pretty seriously. Mentioned it last week a few times. Keenan is actually having a cracker of a year and looking like he's like the only one really trying in that team. So I think that's someone that I'll be definitely looking at. Might be a very low ownership if I can grab onto him as well. Over at the Warriors, sight for sore eyes. We've got Charles Nickel-Klostak back from his injury. So a lot of New Zealanders are very happy there. RTS going back to the centre spot, which, to be honest, he did a great job at fullback last year. We all know what he can do, which is great. But I think there was a lot of talk about potentially having Klostak not come back and RTS staying at fullback because of how good he played. Or I think why not have both of the guys in your team? Both those guys can definitely put up some decent numbers there, and I think the Warriors are going to be better off having him there. Unfortunately, we'll move down to number 6 there, Metcalf with a pretty serious, looks like a broken leg. That did not look very good there. So for those, I had Metcalf all year up until last week when I traded him out. So been doing great things, and that poor bugger deserves to have a break. No pun intended. I think he needs a run. He needs to get a decent long stint in the NRL so he can actually start proving to the world what he can do. That brings SJ back into contention for potential half replacement as well. So he's now taking the kicking, which is great. I think you will see a bit more points coming through SJ as well in attack. So I think SJ could be a very sneaky little option there if you potentially have someone like Hines or that you might just want to not hold on to for a week and you don't think he's doing that good anyway. You might want to grab it. SJ could be a sneaky option there. AFB, I always say I should get him at the start of the year, and I never do. I got him last year in the middle of the year, but I think he's doing another great job. He's almost the last man stands out of the gun front rowers, really. The Tino going down for the season and Haas going out. I think AFB should be pretty highly owned. I think he's definitely a threat, but I think there's just a few cheaper options out there where people are taking on. So, but you can almost have any one of the guys in the front row here. Got Barnett as well, another one that's just plotting along quite nicely. I do like Barnett. I think puts a lot of effort in as well, and a cracker of a week for Jackson Ford last week as well. chucking out 80 minutes a game, which is fantastic. And it looks like Murata Niokora are coming back for the first time this year, so we'll see what happens there, because he's been off for a while there, and I was wondering actually where he was, but I didn't hear any news on him, but it's good to see him back. I would not be surprised though to see Egan, because I think Egan got a bit of a knock last week. He was limping around a little bit, I'm pretty sure. So you might see a bit of a switch last minute here with Egan dropping out and Freddie going to the number 9 spot. And that would bring probably, I would say, CHT into the bench there. Alrighty. Roscoe left me for dead, so I'll just keep going. Let's go. So next game, we've got, cracker of a game. We've got Penrith Panthers up against the Sea Eagles. Tommy Turbo, I'll be secretly going for the Parramatta Eagles for the Manly Sea Eagles in this game, hoping Tommy can make up for me what he did last week. But like I mentioned at the start, I think that the halves experience there with Daly Cherry Evans and Luke Brooks has shown some great work this year as well, which is good. But I think the halves experience there will probably have a better, I guess, a better chance of exploiting having the weaknesses that Penrith have. Brad Snyder did a great job for us last week, but I don't think that the Roosters took advantage enough of them having no Cleary. So I think that potentially, and also we're playing this, I'm pretty sure this game is at Brookvale. Just correct me if I'm wrong. Let's have a look. Yeah, it looks like it's Sea Eagles home game. So I think this game is at Brookvale. So I think Turbo might want to show up for this game, which would be great. Garrick doing some good things there. I've gone a different way. I think if you got Garrick in last week, which a lot of people did, I think it's a good option there. But I've gone a different way. I've gone with Hammer, and I've also I guess spoiler alert for my trades this week. I've gone Holmes as well. So, but Garrick there, I probably wouldn't jump on him this week if he didn't jump on last week. This might be a bit of a tougher matchup for him. However, definitely you can't go wrong there having a kicking centre that can score some tries as well. Paseka, I was actually thinking at the start of the year to have a sneaky little, reasonably decent base front rower as a backup, and Paseka has not been performing as well as I thought he would. So I'm glad I dodged that bullet. But then we've got also in the front row, we've got Hamole Alakawatu, who's just killing it. Now that Roscoe's back, and I can feel weird, and I'm not talking to myself anymore, so this is great. Yeah, so I was just talking about. I was talking about Ruben Garrick and how a lot of people jumped on last week, which is you can't begrudge anyone for doing. If you're going to jump on, it would not be the week this week to do so. I think there's better options out there this week, just because of the matchup. Thoughts?
Yeah, I think so too. I had the choice to go either Holmes or Garrick last week and went for Holmes, which I'm not too upset about, just especially with the draw that they've got coming up. I think this week I'd much prefer Holmes over Garrick, especially with their matchup against the Titans.
Yeah, but if you got Garrick last week, I'd still be happy to have him. He's a try-scoring centre that kicks goals, so be all over that. And yeah, just as you got here, we're talking about Olakawatu doing some great things there as well. So another second rower that will definitely be on my target list.
Yeah, I've been keeping on him too, and when I saw he was sitting on 58 last week, I'm like, oh, this is good. He's going to start dropping some cash, and then he got the junk try at the end with the line break, and he just looks so strong. They're going to him a lot, and especially 10 meters out from the line, just because he's so strong. He's definitely one on my radar, 100%. There's a couple of second rows that I'm, really interested in. So he's definitely one of them.
I think they're using Olakawatu the same way Titans like to use the feeder. He's getting real close to the line, and I think, and you'll see as well. I think he's gone in the dummy half every now and then and tried to barge over himself, which is what the feeder does very well. So I think there's a lot of tries in him, and a lot of tackle busts in him. So I think you're going to be safe with the score every week with him. So. Yeah, 100%. There's definitely a few options out there to start with. And I mean, we've already mentioned about 3 or 4 today. I think I mentioned just before you left, just as you left, sorry, was Keon Kawamatangi is another option there that I'd be aiming at. Seems to be the only one.
Even Cam Murray too.
Yeah, that's true. There doesn't seem to be many people in that Rabbitohs team having a crack, and there's a couple that are, and they're the ones you want. So
yeah.
Alrighty, and Burbo doing Burbo things, which is not much at the moment, but I don't see anything happening in this game. If you're going to have him on your team, I will be playing this game.
Well, I've got the dilemma with the players I've got out this week that I either have to play him or Salmon. I just think obviously Burbo's got more upside.
Yeah.
Playing on that edge, he's not playing 80. Obviously, he's only playing 60. But I just think he's got more potential than what Salmon's got. But looking at that bench again for the Bulldogs, does that mean Salmon plays more minutes? I don't know. I was going to trade out Burbo this week. That was going to be my trade, Burbo to KPP. But then when Tupanil was benched, I had to sell Tupanil instead. It was no brainer, really. So, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think Burbo, what side? He'll be up against Martin's side, won't he? On the left-hand edge there. So Martin can do some pretty good things in defence there. So I think
he's a pretty good defender.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, over to the Panthers.
Although Garner will have his work cut out, mark it up against Olakuadu, though. That's going to be an interesting one.
If I was Martin, I'd be like, Garner, you're swapping with me.
Yeah.
Straight away. What happened? That happened last week sometime. I think there was one player just copping it all over, and then they end up swapping sides.
Yeah.
The defensive side. I can't remember who it was, but it was so funny to watch. I'm like, nah, you've had enough. Get on the other side. That's so good. All right, so yeah, Edwards doing great things at the moment.
Yeah,
not like everything. He's first 3 games. I think he's averaging more than 200 meters a game, which is nothing surprising for him. But one of those games, he got almost 300 meters, mate.
Yeah.
Like he's just a freak.
I think that he's definitely would be an option if Cleary was out long term. I think I'll have him in my team, like not just because of the run meters, but having the goal kicking too is just another bow to his string. Like he's just such an underrated player. So is the next one I was going to mention too, Taruva. Gosh, like he's just flying under the radar as well. No one's on him.
It's funny you mention that because a lot of the people, I was tempted because at the price he was for what he did last year at the start of the year. I was like, why are we not on him? And then I was like, you know what? In my head, I'm like, you know what? It is a second-year syndrome. It's always second-year syndrome. But he's just cracked off where he left last year and doing good things. So I think he was at a decent price there as well.
He started the year at 500, so he wasn't a bad price. But I was going through and looking at some of my drafts a couple of days ago, and because I've got a few Sharks players in there, and obviously they're on the buy. And Taruva was sitting there in 2 of them, so I'm not going to mention what drafts they are in case someone goes to steal them from me. But I've put a thing in for Taruva in a couple of them, so fingers crossed, mate.
A lot of guys this week jumping off Taylor May. What are your thoughts there?
I did it last week. It was a risk. Don't get me wrong, it was a risk because I thought with Cleary out that he would see a lot more ball. But again, they're targeting that Targo side. It's a hard one. Like, you've still got Cleary out for another 2 weeks. I mean, he might start to score better when he comes back in. But I watched the game last week, and I swear to God, I don't think Luai likes passing the ball to him.
Luai doesn't like passing the ball at all, mate.
Yeah. He was cutting it out and passing it to bloody Taruva or something. That wasn't Taruva, out to Dotto or something instead. So
I don't know how he doesn't get tackled every time he gets the ball because he only has that one step. It's left foot. It's like you got to see it coming, surely, because he can't step on any other foot.
Tottle's another one on my radar too. Like, hopefully he can drop some more cash as well because he'll come good at some stage, especially when Cleary gets back. And O's another one just flying under the radar too for anyone who got on him. He's just so consistent. He'll get you that 60, 70 every single week without fail.
Yeah, you got to think about it. Like, you got to try and think of if I didn't tell you the name, for example, of a certain player, and I said he was a lock forward that played 80 minutes almost every single week, you'd be like, what? Like, you'd be all over it. But no one's jumping on because he's just kind of that. They're so used to that. Oh, when you could get him in the centre wing, it was great. You know what I mean? Yeah. When Rob Sutherland had that little brain fart and put him in dual centre wing, that was great.
I think the price put off a lot of people too because I think he's in the 700s or something as well. So it's a lot to pay.
He's 744,000. He's gone, and he was he was only like just 705 when he started the year.
Yeah.
So a lot of people are jumping off there, which is fair enough. But for example, if you're looking at getting a sneaky pot on Fafita, who's 830, and he's only playing 55 minutes at the moment, like you're going to get an average of I think it's like 70. I'll just check his average now for Yo.
It'd be close to 70, wouldn't it? Have to be.
No, he's averaging 75, mate. He's on fire. Yeah. His 3-round average is 78. So, and then his 5-round average is 75. Like, I mean, that just shows you consistency. So,
he's not just a ball playing lock. He's like having another 5/8 or a half out there. He just takes that line, extra playmaker type role as well. Gets a lot of try assists as well, a lot of line break assists. So, yeah, he's they're a very consistent player, no doubt about it.
Another thing as well is it's like having a halfback that defends in the middle because he makes a ton of tackles every game too. So enough jizzing over my own team.
You can keep talking about him.
But Fisher Harris is back, so we know it's going to cause a bit of dramas for Henry there. I don't think it causes too much drama. I think he can still get a 30, 40 point average. So I'm just gonna have a look quickly. What Henry?
I think it'll be like Leota will probably play like the first 30 minutes. He comes on, plays 10 minutes before half time, 20 of the other end of it, and then goes off. So I'm thinking around 30 minutes probably.
Yeah. So just going off his 2 scores he had when JFH was in the team. He was getting 34 minutes in the round 1. He got 30 minutes in round 2. Still smashing out 1.2, 1.1 points per game. He's getting about 35, 36 points with Fisher Harris there. But you also got to remember as well, he has put in that extra effort while Fisher Harris is away. Does he get rewarded with more minutes?
Yeah, that's it. That's exactly right.
Yeah, and he's got like in the last 2 games, he's only got an extra 7 minutes a game. He's been playing 42 minutes a game, which isn't that much more. And he's now at 1.3 points per minute. So he gets that more minutes. Do you feel like he wants to earn that chance? And I feel like he may have earned himself some more minutes the way he played.
Yep. Never know.
Yeah. That is it. Alrighty, let's get cracking. So we'll get rid of that and we'll go to the next game. Where are we looking at? So, mate, your boys. What's going on, mate? The Tigers. The era of Benji.
I'm so happy that they were able to back up their performance the week before and back it up against Para and play another 80-minute game. And they were impressive. Like, their defense is just – I think the biggest thing for them is I don't think it's the Benji factor. It's the John Morris factor.
Mm-hmm.
He's a great defensive coach. He was assistant over at South last year. And I think he's made a hell of a difference over there as well. And they're just doing a job. I mean, obviously, it's going to be disappointing not seeing Galvin out there this week, but he's just been impressive. To be down by 12 points and have a player in the sin bin and come back and win, he's just, there's been some really good players there. Appy's been absolutely outstanding. Olam as well. Oh, mate, what's his name? Fainu off the bench is just, oh, God, he's unbelievable. He's doing a fantastic job for them. And Pole at Lock's doing a job, and even IPAP's having a good season too. So
yeah, a lot of IPAP was starting to come back to his best. Yeah, a lot of IPAP was coming back to his best. He's starting to look really good there.
Stefano's been good too. It's been great. It's been good. I'm very happy at the moment, but just got to keep it going. As I said, it's a shame Galvin's not there, but young Fainu on the bench, upcoming gun as well. So he's going to be another one to keep an eye on too.
Yeah, just Fainu there on the bench. So who was it? He's got 204,000 bottom dollar cheapie.
Yeah.
I was literally just trying to get him up, but I got the wrong Fainu. So
I don't think he's been. Is he on there yet? Have they put him on?
He's on there now. I just had a look.
Okay, because he wasn't when I checked yesterday.
He's on there now. So, but
who's it when they got him lifted at 5/8 or half?
I'm just checking. Sorry, I'm checking the other Fainu first quickly. So while we're here, he's quietly just averaging 54 points from the bench. That's he got a 75 in his first game in 58 minutes. Then 33 points in his second game against the Sharks, and 55 points last week. And that's in 37 minutes. That's a 1.5
He's got a good
points.
PPM. He's got a good, really good PPM. But the other one for the Tigers that's on the bench, you wouldn't bring him in. He'll only be there for 2 games, but he's only available at 5'8".
Yeah.
As well.
Yeah, so don't fall for that trick of a green, orange dot that's
Yeah.
bottom dollar.
Yeah, no, definitely not. He'll be out of that team in about 2 weeks' time.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, you got to think as well. A lot of people might see, a lot of the rookies might see, Supercoaches see Jaden Sullivan there playing 5'8". That's only temporary. We've got have we heard? Was it 2 weeks? Was it?
Yeah, 2 weeks. He took the early plea, so 2 weeks. Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if they pull a late switch and maybe start Fainu. But in saying that, apparently he's only coming back from injury, so he has only played 40 games in both his New South Wales Cap games so far. So I would be surprised if he starts. But what's your thoughts on Olam? I'm not. It's a no for me, Dan. But he's like second or third most traded in this week. Yeah, I get the low break even and everything, but he's never really been Supercoach relevant.
I have in the past brought him in for runs, as a sneaky pod for runs. I'd have to have a sneaky look at their draw, the Tigers, because they've got
the Titans this week, they've got the Dragons next week, and then they've got the Panthers.
Yeah,
that's the next 3 games.
I just don't know if you in those 2 weeks. So I wouldn't want to have him for the Panthers.
No.
I think for those 2 weeks, is that trade going to warrant enough cash? Potentially, what are you trying to get out of a trade? 150, you reckon?
I think
it's
so.
2 trades. It's 2 trades. You're trading him in to get cash, and you're trading him out to upgrade or downgrade.
But you also got to remember too, he scored 4 tries in 2 games as well. He's not going to do that every week either.
No, but that's why I say that he's one of those guys that I like to get in for a run, and if he hasn't got a run, then I'll probably avoid for now. If you got him at the start of the season as a sneaky pod,
or last week, or even last week too.
Yeah, definitely.
But I think he could. I don't know. He could still score well these couple of games. He's on Caesar's side of the field, so. But not having Galvin there, I'm not convinced.
Yeah, definitely. Guy that a lot of people brought in last week, and my saviour for the Dolphins, Hamiso Tabuai-Fidow, great work. He's looking really, really good this week, and he had a negative 24 break or something. I can't remember what it was last week.
Yeah.
And now he's got a negative 1 break even after.
No, his break even last week wasn't negative. It was like 1 or 2 or something. I think last week.
Now it's negative. Now it's negative 1. So
I was very reluctant to bring him in just because the week before he got 94, but that was with 3 tries. Now, to be fair, I think 2 of them were off a kick, so he didn't really. I think he only got the 1 line break. But then I kind of had to back myself for it. It was a good matchup against the Titans and pulled out the 114 with only 1 try. So I'm pretty happy with that. It looks very involved. And, you know, if you got Bostock, well, mate, you're cheering all the way to the bank because he's feeding him some really good ball out there. And I think a lot of us got scared off with Bostock. We saw him last year. He was a cheat. We got him in early and he was just a dud. If he didn't score a try, he was only getting you 15, 20 points. But this year, his base is actually really good.
Yeah.
And he's highly traded in this week as well, Dan. I don't know if I like it. He's only going to be a quick cash grab. He's not going to be a keeper. And after their game this week, they've got a really tough draw coming up. They've got some really hard games. I don't know if you're looking at it now, but they haven't got a good draw coming up.
Yeah, I just had a look now. He's 404K right now. I started with him, knowing there was a risk there. Yeah, knowing there was a risk there. But looking at the draw, they got after this game against the Tigers, which frankly, if they continue their defensive efforts from last week, there might be a challenge to get some points out of them. But then they got Broncos and Parramatta. Then they got the Knights. And then they've got North Queensland and Manly. So it's not. It's a pretty not even up and down draw. It's kind of decent teams are up against. So
I think that at 400K, Dan, I think you're better off going for KPP. But also I think you need to prioritise him and also Blaise Talangi as well, who obviously we'll get to later. But I just think it's probably a bit late to be jumping on Bostock. I just don't see it continuing on, unfortunately.
Well, if they I don't know. Let's say he continues on and gets another, just one try this week. Another little try assist from Hamaso, just kind of wishing it into fruition. And he gets his projection of 60 points this week. Just say that happens, right? He goes up 90,000 almost.
Yeah.
That, and then he keeps that break even below negative. And then next week, he's against the Broncos. Yeah, like decent defenses on the edge. I reckon their defense to the Broncos is really good in the centers. But they can get past those centers. They should be able to get another try. So I think there's better options out there. But if you're going for a cash grab, I don't actually hate it with a negative 41 break even. It's a pretty big. It's like I said before, we kind of get a certain amount of money per trade. And if you make 86,000 this week alone in 1 week and then has a negative break even next week, I wouldn't be upset about it.
I'll throw out a question to you. When do you think it's time to start focusing on, like, what round to start focusing on points over cash generation? Obviously, we're only into round 5 now.
Honestly, this is my personal downfall. Is I try to always focus on both all the time, and that's why I don't always get the most cash. But I will start off with a heap more guns than most people, and I don't need to generate cash out of them if you get my drift. So I'm kind of keeping them all year anyway. So I think that kind of thought process should really start around the same time you're planning for the buys.
Yeah.
Which I always think is about 6 weeks before that first buy round. So I would say let's just say round 8. I would say, looking at that, because we've made a comment before about if you're looking at your overall group right now and your overall rank right now. Right now, mine's 18,000. Yours is 37,000. I don't take that into consideration really until about round 8, 9. And that's when you start to see clear potential front runners. So I think probably around then is when I start looking at it. Yourself?
Yeah, I think so too. But I think you've got to have a balance. Still got to have that balance of guns and players that are going to make a cash as well. I think around about round 8 too. I think that's when you need to be starting to focus on, bringing in players who've got that buy coverage. The Dolphins, I think, play all 3 big buys. So, guys like, for example, maybe Herbie Farmworth if he's cheap enough. Obviously, Jeremy Marshall-King if you're looking to, go away from Grant over Origin. There's a couple options there. I think round 8, round 9 is when you really got to start looking at that. You need to be planning ahead. You don't want to be getting to round 10 and round 11 and go, oh, crap, I'm only going to, yes, it's the best 13 or whatever it is, but you want to have a good 13. You don't want to have, 5 decent ones and 8 shitty ones. So,
yeah.
Yeah.
I try to fill it out. So I might, I do this mainly for the last buy round. It's where I start bringing in my keeping guns that are going to play that week. And then on that last round, I use my final boost, or I use a big boost around then. So you get normally, I think you get 4 trades in that round, I believe. If you
boost, you get 4. Yeah.
So I try to get it so I can use 4 trades to bring in. I have all my guns ready to go. I have 4 trades to bring in potentially 2 nuffs and 2 more potential guns that I can keep for the run home. And I bring those 2 nuffs in that are going to play that week and then bugger off. Because I like to have about 23, 22 at the least players active at the end of the year, which may change my mind after what happened last year in round 27.
Yeah, well, I've got 2. I've used 2 boosts so far, and I'm going to probably hold fire on any more now. Like I think around about round 11, round 12 might be when I'll potentially look at using my next one, and then maybe one in that buy period. And then potentially just save one for just after to bring some of the guns back in that we would have traded out over that Origin period.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I had a quick look, a little squeeze the other day about my buy round planning, and I was looking at it going, well, I'm actually set more for my second 2 buys than I am for my first buy. So I have to take it into consideration, a little bit of consideration anyway.
Couple we didn't mention back there. We don't need to pull it back up, Dan, but obviously Josh Kerr's an interesting one as well. And Thomas Flegler was the other one I was going to mention too, Dan, at 530K. He's looked really good too. I think he put out a 80 or a 90 on the weekend, had a try assist and line break assist, and was very close to scoring a try himself. I've been impressed by him this year.
Yeah, there was a lot of doubt going into what he could put out. Like a lot of, I was one of them, and I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
I was like I've seen Flegler with some good footwork at the line when he would come in and did some work when Haas was out. And I was like, I just couldn't see him being the main man. I could see him being someone's sidekick, but it looks like he has really taken the reins and had a really good go. I think the fact that he's with Wayne Bennett as well, who does a really good job when it comes to mentoring the simple stuff in the front row. He's been doing really good.
I think we're worried about that whole suspension issues with him as well because he does like a suspension.
Yeah, that's the problem, mate. You gotta. I always try to get that out of my head because, like, if you're worried about injury, you're worried about suspension all the time. Like, it just puts too much doubt in your mind. And like, you saw Galvin, one of the nicest guys on the field that weekend, get suspended. You know what I mean? Like, I try to get that out of my head because anyone can get suspended. So
that's right.
Yeah. Alrighty, let's have a look at the next game. So Sunday, second last game of the week, Cowboys versus the Titans. Drinkwater, what do you think of thoughts of him? Do you still think he's going to be one of the potential number ones?
Oh boy, I am so scared to not own him this game. Holy dooly. God help, I haven't gone and checked my head-to-head leagues yet this week, but I hope not many of my opponents have got him because I'll tell you what, I have a feeling he's going to go big. And the other thing we didn't mention too, Dan, is the weather in Sydney is going to be absolute dog shit on the weekend too. So they're expecting a ton of rain Friday and Saturday. So this is probably the best game to target for a captain. At the moment, I'm going Holmes as my captain, and I've got the VC on Hammer. But if I had Drinky Cheese, I'd be tempted by him as well. But the other thing I want to mention from this game too is I'm not understanding why people are trading out Zach Laybut. He's highly traded out this week with a beautiful matchup this week as well. I don't get it, Dan.
Sometimes you got to just take the loss. He's had a few. He might lose a bit of cash this week because he's had a couple of bad weeks. But like you got to take. You know what? This is where right now I'd be like, is this trading him out worth 100,000, or is it worth the potential, close to a ton score he could potentially score in this game? I don't know, 100 points.
You keep going. I'm just going to have a look and see who everyone's trading him to. I'm interested to see that. So
I never trust that. I've seen like someone traded out Ponga for like Legler. Like I don't trust those things because of the way the trades work. But you go.
So I can understand it to bank the cash, but I would not be trading Zach Laybut to Blaise Solangi. Now, surely you've got guys like Salmon or Burbo or Tua Picky that you can trade out to him instead. Another one's number 2 that doesn't make sense. People trading him to Justin Olam as well.
To me, that's one of the most sideways trades you could ever do. I can kind of understand the downgrade because you're freeing up cash and getting cash, but I wouldn't do it myself. But I can definitely. The Olam one is just the only way. The best trade I could imagine with a Laybut trade, which I don't agree with still, would be to go Laybut up to a gun, to a Holmes maybe.
Yeah. Number 5's Hammer. Number 7's Pappenhausen, and number 8 is Holmes, and number 9 is Ford. Number 10, though, Dan. Number 10, Lachlan Galvin. He's not even playing.
No, mate. We gotta love those people that watch the news.
Oh, jeez.
Don't want to miss out on those. Don't want to miss out on those extra dollars you're gonna get sitting on the bench, mate.
Well, he's got to break even about 90, but he could get that easily in this game.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I reckon 90 is not out of the reach for him. The only problem there, and this is what I will say, is I'm looking at this now. You've got Scott Drinkwater, you've got Dearden, you've got Labour, you've got Val Holmes, and you've got another one here that's kind of got some pretty good things in attack as well, and that's Murray Taulagi.
Yep.
All potentially with big attacking upside.
Even Nanai as well. Yeah.
Are they just going to this is the reason why it's always a challenge to get someone from this team is because there's so much attacking upside there that where do the points go? Do they get spread out evenly or do they all go to one person? And like for the first game, it went to Labour with his decent score.
That happened 2 weeks ago when they flogged the Dragons. Drinky only got like 40 points or something in it.
Yeah. You gotta take a big.
Yeah.
You got to take the big scores with the average scores because it's
Yeah.
going to happen quite a lot in this team. But that's a lot of points there just in the back line. Even
I'll tell you
I hate to say it, but Chad Townsend's been scoring points.
Well done to those who jumped on Tommy Dearden too, because he's been flying under the radar as well. He's plugging out some decent scores there. And well done to those who got on him. We had Sam Heslett on our podcast last night, cricket player, and he started Dearden, and we were all sort of questioning him on it. But geez, he's done the good. He's averaging better than Dylan Brown at the moment, and a lot cheaper.
Yeah, I was tempted to go him too as potentially instead of Metcalf.
Yeah.
Which I wasn't upset about Metcalf. I was still happy with Metcalf how he scored. But I was tempted. It was my only. No, I'm not upset with him because I traded him out last week before he.
Oh, that's right then. Yeah.
But yeah, I think Dearden was just a bit more dollars. I couldn't afford him, so that was probably the only reason I didn't go in. But I wanted to have that a gun 5'8" and a gun half with a pod 5'8", the pod half on the bench. Yeah. That's what I always was going to do this year. And Dearden or Metcalf, and it was end up being another one was going to be either Ben Hunt or SJ. I went Ben Hunt. So, alrighty, let's have a look. We've got Reece Robson, who is killing it right now. For those who jumped on instead of Harry Grant, freed up a bit of cash, getting some solid points there.
Yeah, definitely. I know that Timmy did it from our Off the Bench podcast, and he's pretty happy with it. I wouldn't say Harry Grant's been bad, but as I said, I just think now that we've got some cattle back for the Storm, I'm expecting a lot better from him now.
Yeah. I wouldn't say he's been bad. He hasn't been Harry Grant. He's been averaging 60 a game, which is not bad at all. I'll take that every day of the week. But when you're paying that much money for him, you probably want a bit more. But that'll come. We all know it will.
Definitely.
All right. Cotter, just doing Cotter things. I reckon it's not the worst thing in the world. He's sitting there smashing out 50s every single week quite comfortably. So I'm happy to have him there. Just relax him. But another sneaky one here, just doing some good things. Also has a chance to get a low scoring. That's Jeremiah Nanai.
I was actually pretty keen on him last week. I was never going to bring him in, but I just thought that he was a good chance to get a decent score. But I think the issue is with him, he relies on a lot of attacking stats too, and that's where a lot of his big scores come from. He doesn't really have a massive base in him for an 80-minute front edge rower. So But yeah, look, he'll have his good game, he'll have his bad. Obviously, Finifal, and he's, I don't know, I wouldn't be jumping on him. I just think there's a lot better options this week than him. Not playing 80 minutes either on the edge, so yeah, don't go on him.
Yeah, I got in Finifal a couple of weeks ago because I got screwed over with 2 injuries last minute, and I didn't have enough to field a full team in the end. I did, but they already played. The bench already played because I was mid. So I ended up having to bring him in, and that caused me to have to bring in another player, which I'm going to talk about right now. He can eat a dick, and that's Talakai. I was so safe, and I felt so happy having him.
Talakai?
I brought him in last week.
Oh, okay. I thought, because we're not even talking about the Sharks game. I was wondering why you'd bring that.
Well, there is no Sharks game. That's why I wanted to get an opportunity.
Oh, yeah, of course. Of course, you got to play,
but I was like, oh, cool, he's playing second row. This is great. Gets 15 points in the second row in 60 minutes and then gets subbed out.
What happened there? I missed the game. Like, what? Did he just not get any ball, or what happened?
He just never got the ball. He made a few errors when he did the ball. I reckon he got cut. So I was furious because I'm like, oh, sweet Talakai playing second row. I should be sweet here. And then that turned out to be just terrible luck. So he's gone out of my team.
You're not hanging on to him. You're not hanging on to him and hoping he goes back to centres next week. He'll score better there, surely.
No, I'm pissed. Sorry. I am not happy because I got a really good score last week, and I was expecting him to get a 60, 70 plus score on the edge, and he did that to me. I'm sure my anger will dissipate, and then I'll be able to make a sensitive, calm decision. But for now, he's gone. All right, we'll look at the Titans. Back for the Titans, we have Jaden Campbell at fullback. So he played a pretty decent game last week, nothing special, but it was good to watch him back.
Yeah, he was obviously one a lot of people were keen on at the start of the season, just because of his price. He was pretty cheap. And then obviously when he was ruled out for the first couple of games, people traded him out. But he's definitely one to keep an eye on for sure. I'm happy with my Dylan Brown and Galvin combo at the moment. If the way Galvin's going at the moment, if he keeps going like that, he'll end up being a keeper till quite close towards the end. Just play him on the matchups and stuff as well. But yeah, Campbell's an interesting one. Obviously, the other one's for Feeder as well. Once he starts, hopefully he doesn't get too many points this week and drops a bit of cash for us, and we can just bring him all in.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I just saw a name up here. Is Harley Smith-Shield's he's playing on the wing for him. I know he was playing for him. I didn't know he got named.
Yeah, so I think Philip Sammy's out injured or concussion or something, and then
No, Sammy got a really bad injury.
yeah, and then Khan Pereira's been dropped. So yeah, so they brought Jojo Fafita into there, but I'm still not convinced with their back stand. I've said it a few times now. I said it last night on AirPod too that I think Brimson's wasted in the centres. I think he's too good of a player there, and I think Tanner Boyd's a park footy player at best. I would be having Brimson in the halves and getting rid of Foran Boyd out of that team completely.
Honestly, I think Foran, rather than being a 6, because Foran has that more gameplay, game control management. He should be number 7 and have an AJ develop him into that number 6 position. Tanner Boyd, look at his super coach output. I know it's not a reflection on the NRL game too much, but when he gets like 17 points or something stupid, what is he really doing? You know what I mean? Like, so. But
the only other one in that team that would be relevant if he just could hold that spot would be Aaron Clark. I think he's very underrated in that lock position. If he could just hold decent minutes and be a decent price, he's definitely one to keep an eye on. But obviously Tino out for the season, he might hold that spot now. Who knows what's going to happen there? Who knows what Des is going to do?
Yeah, I actually like Aaron Clark. He's got those like Havili vibes about him. You know what I mean? Kind of small but solid body that can be in the middle there. I don't mind Aaron Clark. You see how he goes and just keep an eye on him. But I just keep an eye on the backs as well. I know if they start to get some games under their belt and start winning a few games, and they have this team. One player that I've always liked as a super coach output, and that's Jojo Fafita.
Definitely.
I just don't trust that he's going to keep his spot.
No, I don't think you can either. To be honest with you, you've got Khan Pereira in the reserves there. You've got Sammy to come back as well into that team. Who knows what they're going to do? They could do anything with that team if they don't start to win some games.
That's it. And on the bench, nice game back last week for Fafita. Got 55 points in 55 minutes. Doing decent things there. So I was pretty happy with that. Hopefully he keeps that bench spot for another 2 more weeks and then gets a nice little decrease.
I'll be happy with that. Hopefully he can drop a ton of cash. Well, I think that's what we want.
That is it. Alrighty, let's have a look. The final game of the week. Let's bring it up. We've got Raiders up against the Parramatta Eagles.
Parramatta Sea Eagles.
I already messed up their Sea Eagles earlier and called them Parramatta. But yeah, Rapana still at fullback position with Schiller in the number 2 with Tomoko number 3, Sebastian Chris number 4, Savage doing some pretty good things there at number 5, Ethan Strange number 6, and Jamal Fogg number 7. We've got Papali number 8, Denny Levi just getting lucky every single week. So
we have to talk about him. Like 2 weeks ago, I did like everyone else and traded Levi to Lussick, thinking that Lussick was going to make more cash, and now Levi's going to make more cash. He's got a negative break even this week, while Lussick won't even make his break even this week.
Well, if take away last week when you got that try, and how many points did you get last week? Something like 60 or something.
I think the week before he got a try, but he only got like 40 points with a try or something as well. I'm pretty sure it was.
I'm going to show you some stats, right? So I had a look at this before when everyone was talking about how if I can get this up here, so we need to try and scroll down on this little laptop here. So in the first 3 games, he got 2 tries.
Yep.
First game 45, second game 39, third game 29, and that is with 2 tries.
Yeah.
And then he smashes out at 68. I don't care what stats you look at. No one's predicting that shit.
No,
You
no.
can't for one
No
time.
way.
No. He averages 37 points in the first 3 games with 2 tries. Like that is as a hooker.
Yeah.
You're in the middle tackling as hooker. So that to me was, and I'm still fine about it. I'm still fine with him not being in my team. I don't care about the cash generation. I can make it somewhere else.
Yeah. Yeah.
Alrighty. So Adam Moriato on the edge there.
Yeah, I think Zach Hoskins out with cut 1 concussion.
Yeah.
I've got no doubt he'll come back into that team next week. You've also got Elliot Whitehead to come back into that team too. Just don't fall for that green light or green tick or whatever it is. Just don't even jump on him.
The other thing as well is you got to remember there could be some last minute changes here because Horsburgh has played a fair bit of second row in the past as well. He could be a decent option last minute shuffle there. But they could just be easing him back on the bench for game fitness as well. So.
Yeah, it's definitely a concern with Smithies because obviously he had reduced minutes last week too. I think I'm pretty sure that Ricky came out and said that Lockie's going to be Smithy's spot, but I'm just not convinced that he's going to get the minutes for him to be in our teams much longer. I think he might get a couple more weeks out of him, and I think he's going to have to move him on.
Yeah, I don't think it's one of those guys that I don't think he's going to make much money at all. I think his break even is pretty much where he's priced at.
I don't even think he's made any cash yet either.
No, he's pretty much averaging what he priced at. So if you could trade him out now as a luxury trade, go for it. But if you have other problems, he's not going to hurt you. He's not going to lose any cash.
No, he's got a break even of 37, so he should get that, or it's close, at least close.
That was his lowest score all year. I think he got a 37. So he's pretty much close to his average. So
yeah.
All right, let's have a look. So we've got Gutho, another very sneaky option to jump in the fullback. It's always a tricky one to play around with the fullback position. But Gutho, with Moses out, has his hand in everything.
He was really good in that game. I think he put out 109 on the weekend. He's just, you would have thought that Dylan Brown would be the main playmaker while he's out, but we've seen that's not the case. I've owned Gutho in the past, and when Moses has been out, Gutho's always been the one that stepped up. And having that goal kicking is just an extra. Bonus for those who have got him. I couldn't trade him in. I can't trade Ponga or Turbo out unless something happened to Turbo. There's no way he's leaving my team, and same with Ponga. So give us a third fullback. That's all I can say.
Gutho, he's playing dual, isn't he? He's been playing halfback, hasn't he? No, I love it. That's the thing I love about this is that there's a lot of room for different teams to have different players, so it makes it more competitive. So, Makasivo come back last week, not too bad, did a pretty good job.
I think he's definitely one to keep an eye on. If he drops in price, he's definitely one I'll be looking at for sure. And obviously Blaze Talangi, which is another one that we'll talk about, which everyone's bringing in this week. Are you on him as well?
Mate, honestly, when I watched the game, I was like, I couldn't really see much of him, right? When I watched the game. But I'm seeing his points tick over like nothing. He's doing nothing and getting points for it. To me, that's base. I'm happy to have that every day of the week. And he's in my centre wing now until he peaks. Yeah,
I guess the only thing that we could be worried about, like obviously he's going to make a good amount of cash this week, but is he going to keep his spot? Like if they lose again this week, you've got Dejan Arce floating around as well. So does he hold the spot? I don't know. I think that Arthur's just got to give him a crack, mate. He looked okay. As I said, I didn't see a lot of him. As I said, a lot of the ball was going through Gutho and Dylan Brown, but the other one was obviously the other one's Hopgood too, Dan. I think a lot of people were concerned with him when he got benched, but didn't make any difference for him.
No, what did he come out and smash out an 80 or something this week? From the bench. So he's pretty much doing the same thing that Maddo used to do when he came from the bench. So Yeah, I don't get it. When it's almost like clockwork. When he has that player on the bench, it's either Matto or it's Hopgood. He just does that. Come on, 20 minutes in, play the rest of the game, and they just seem to get through more work rate because they're playing in the middle.
Yeah.
So I understand Hopgood always played in the middle anyway, but they just seem to they want to earn it more. They want to get out there and they got tired forward so they can actually get the offload out because they're not getting wrapped up as much. Yeah, no, I like Hopgood. I think he's probably way too overpriced for me at the moment. I think he's going
definitely.
pretty.
The other one's Sean Lane. I mean, obviously, for those who started him, he finally repaid the faith with about a 60 odd. His base looked a lot better this week. His base had been pretty average prior to this game as well. I didn't get on him. I did have him originally and didn't start him, so I'm pretty happy with not starting him at this stage. I think I ended up actually starting Smithies over him, so haven't really lost out too much on that one, Dan.
I didn't go Lane because, frankly, I was not sold on the idea. I didn't go Lane because he came back last year. He was still getting the 80 minutes, and there was nothing had changed in that side of the attack from last year, and he was averaging poorly at the end of last year. So when you pick your team, you want to try and have something that what's changed? Oh, okay, there's a new halfback in there that can probably feed better ball. You need to have that kind of option, and I didn't see that happening. So, but I think the argument was he was recovering from an injury, and that's what I get. But to me, I wasn't sold.
I think there was a whole thing about being on that edge outside Dylan Brown too, but looking at his scores this year, he had 80 minutes against the Dogs for a 41 and 80 minutes against Manly for a 35. So it's not exactly great, if you ask me. But his PPM was obviously a lot better. The game on the weekend, we got a 62. But, yeah, I'm still pretty happy with not getting him.
Yeah, it hasn't hurt me not owning him, so. Alrighty, let's have a look, see what I can do. I'm trying to get it. So let's talk about trade talk now. That's the last of the games done. What trades are you looking at doing this week?
Yeah, mine are pretty straightforward. I'm going Statili Tupanua to KPP, and then I'm going to a picky from the Warriors to Blaze Talangi.
Like it. Awesome. I'll be using a boost this week out of spite. So I'll be going Piakora to KPP. So I didn't trade him out last week. Then I'm going to go Talakai out to Talangi. I've already got enough guns in that position right now, so I'm pretty sweet. And just to rub it in, I'm going to go turn Tupanua into Valentine Holmes. So I have another gun coming into that team.
Love it.
So I'm going to have, I think, 4 guns in my centre wing position right now. So I know I've said I want to focus on my second row, and I can start doing that now that I've fixed my centre wing spot. And these guys have guns, low break evens, that can score big for me.
Yeah, I'm the same as you. I've got 4 guns in now. I've got Holmes, Hammer, Dom Young, and Mulatalo. So I'm pretty happy with that, as I said. But in saying that, I've got to play Hutchinson as my main halfback this week too, with Hines out as well.
Yeah, that's another reason why with all the buys that's why I wanted 2 potential gun halfbacks and 2 potential gun 5/8s. So I could I feel, for example, I feel comfortable playing Galvin if Brown's out. I feel comfortable playing Ben Hunt when Hines is out. So that was my whole point. My whole point was for longevity, not for just to get those points. So hoping that worked out for me. Captain, vice captain, mate, you kind of touched on it earlier, but what are you looking at?
Yeah, Hammer into Holmes for me. I think it's pretty much a lock and load. Honestly, I just think they can both got the potential to go big. Ponga could too. Obviously, I could potentially go Ponga as a VC as well against the Dragons, but yeah, like if he can score 110 away against the Warriors, God knows what he could do at home this weekend. So there might be a change there. Could maybe change my VC to Ponga yet.
Yeah, no, I like that. I currently got Ben Hunt as my VC, which I like to go unusual ones, but I might just stick to what I've been doing all year and go VC on Latrell. I just don't. I think that something's fired him up. I think I'm going to keep saying it every single week. So if the week that I don't VC him, he's going to go nuts.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be Theo Latrell. And the fact that he's a pretty low ownership player as well really helps me there as a potential pod move. And I'm doing the same as you. I've got Valentine Holmes on a captain in against that week. Or not week, I guess that Titan side.
Yeah.
All right, mate. Anything else before we wrap up?
No, that's it for me. Thanks for having me on again, obviously, and looking forward to having you on our one on Sunday night for a change.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, we get to jump on and actually return a favour. I might need to go on a few times to return a few favours, actually. But thanks, Roscoe. Off the Bench podcast. You guys, what night do you guys go now? Is it still Wednesday?
Yeah, so we got the Sunday night wrap after the last game, and you also have the TLT pod on a Tuesday night as well. It's going well.
Yeah, love it. So yeah, jump on to Spotify, guys. Jump on into Off the Bench. What's it called? That's a specific one. It's
NRL Supercoach off the bench. Yeah.
Yeah. Jump on Spotify. Give it a follow and a like, guys, and tune in because it's good stuff there. A lot of content having two every single week, so it's always good. Yeah. All right. Thanks, Roscoe. Enjoy everyone, and I'll see you all next week.
Good luck, everyone.